What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know so. And this is a 2020 3-round NFL mock draft. We're going to kind of speed through the picks here, so it's not like crazy big video. So leave your opinions in the comments below. Let's discuss, and remember, be cool, bro. Be cool. I'm streaming some Twitch tonight, so Broshmo Gaming, you can check me out there. But without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's start with the first round, and we got the Bengals going with Joe Burrow. They need a new face of the franchise. They need a new identity. We know Ryan Finley ain't that. So, and we know Andy Dalton's not long for the Bengals roster. So, we're going with Joe Burrow. At 2, we got the Giants getting Chase Young. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. They desperately need pass rush, so they go with a immense talent, a guy we all know Chase Young. We all know Chase Young. He's one of the best pass rushers in recent history. No one's rushed the passer at such a high rate successfully. So, yeah, that's a great option there. And then we got the Redskins going with Andrew Thomas, getting a replacement for Trent Williams. Can't really argue with that. This is a lot of people when the Redskins were at the second pick. People were saying, well, Thomas should go above Young, kind of taking need over value. I kind of disagree with that, but we don't have that problem here. You get your left tackle of the future, and then at 4, an interesting one, Jeffrey Okudah out of Ohio State, going corner instead of quarterback. Tua, it's investing the 4th overall pick in Tua, who's got kind of those medical red flags right now. We'll know more in the next 2 months about that, but it seems a little too risky for me, even if they do think that's their guy. And then Justin Herbert, Justin Herbert's probably going to be a top 5, top 10 pick just based on arm talent alone. But I don't see him being the guy Flores wants. So I go with Okudah here because they got Xavier Howard, right? Key Talib, he won't be on I don't think he'll be on the roster next year. Nick Needham, he's a slot corner only, so they could use another piece there. They missed out on a tackle and a pass rusher, which would be probably needs I'd put over that. I think they could put off receiver because Preston Williams looked real good. Devontae Parker, I feel like, will be back for another year. So they could hold off if they really want to go receiver till later. So I go with corner here. And then picks 5 through 8. Falcons going AJ Epinesa, the edge out of Iowa. Their sack leader this year is Grady Jarrett, their defensive tackle, at 5.5. They need pass rush. They miss out on Okudah here, but you get a good pass rusher, a guy that has the ability to kick to the inside as well, because he's super athletic, freak athlete for 280, and he's really turned it on at the end of the year here for Iowa. And then the Lions, I got them going Isaiah Simmons because they miss out on Epinesa. That would probably be my pick, but with this, corner doesn't look like so much of a need anymore for the Lions. I'd rather go grab a safety for him. It looks like they kind of need a little more safety help, but corner starting to come around. I really like what they got with Slay, with Amani, and then Coleman. So I think that's starting to come around. They really could use a coverage linebacker because Jared Davis is not that. So they get that in Simmons. And then, man, the Cardinals, of course, they go with the offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs. I'm not gonna lie, CeeDee Lamb was actually kind of tempting here. If Isaiah Simmons was at this pick, that would have been super tempting. But I mean, Kyler Murray, if you didn't see it this weekend against the Rams, he was running for his life. He's been sacked 41 times. They really need to be able to protect their passer. And Mike Renner from EFF brought up a good point as far as how they attack Kyler Murray. Is, most ends they bull rush and then play contain, so they kind of lock off the outside here. Tristan Wirfs, probably the strongest tackle in this draft. You're not going to bull rush him. And then the Jaguars, they could go a variety of different places. I just got him getting Jerry Jeudy. I think it's great value here. They could add to that receiving core, get some playmakers for Minshew, or if it's Nick Foles that they plan on going with next year. They could probably address offensive line. They could go anywhere on defense. But Jerry Jeudy is a great pick, best receiver in this class. CeeDee Lamb's giving him a run for his money. Picks 9 through 12, Jets. They go CeeDee Lamb. They could go tackle. Didn't feel good about going tackle with Wirfs and Thomas on the board. Edge, but I don't think there was an edge right now that's worthy of a top 10 pick. So I just ended up going receiver because what? They got Jamison Crowder, and that's about it. Robbie Anderson's probably going to be off the roster next year. So CeeDee Lamb, they get a playmaker for Darnold. And then at 10, the Chargers go Alex Leatherwood. They need offensive line help. And quite frankly, yeah, they need it everywhere. They could go inside, they could go out. I got him getting Leatherwood. I think he's a perfect fit for these guys. Not a lot of people. This guy brought up. I had a good discussion with this guy about who's the better prospect, Leatherwood or Jedrick Wills, the other Alabama tackle. I'm still, as much as Wills is climbing up my board, I'm still in the Leatherwood camp for now. I really love how quick his feet is. I think he can be. I love the versatility. I think he has the ability to play in a variety of different schemes. So I like him here at this pick. Derek Brown going to the Broncos. Derek Wolfe, free agent after this season. He's getting older, and the Broncos get ran on a ton. So getting Derek Brown, who is an excellent run defender, but he has showed he can be a pass rusher. He can be a disruptor in the pocket. So Derek Brown, I like him here at this pick. Christian Fulton going there for the Eagles. Oh man, you saw the Dolphins just tear them apart. They need help at corner. They need help in the secondary. So I got them going with one of the most fluid athletes in this draft, Christian Fulton. He was better than Greedy Williams last year, and he's been probably one of the most outstanding corners this year. And then 13 through 16, we're going with the Bucks. They're going Grant Delpit. They need help at safety because their corners have been surprisingly doing much and much better. So getting a guy, Grant Delpit, who, yes, he's been hurt. He's not been a great tackler, but throughout his career, a lot of people are like, well, it's because he's hurt, or, oh, he's saving himself for the draft. Throughout his collegiate career, he's never really been a great tackler. Just been really bad this year. But he's so versatile. He could cover anybody. And that's what Tampa really needs. They need a guy in that back end really help their young corners out, because I think they've done a good job. They can develop those guys. I like Carlton Davis. I like was it Jameel Dean, Sean Bunton, I believe Button. I could be getting that wrong, but he's been really good in the slot. So I have them going there. And then the Panthers, they just fired today Ron Rivera. So this actually ended up working out because I did this last night. But I think they go with their franchise quarterback. I don't think Herbert will be here at 14. He's, like I said, he's probably going to be in the top 10, top 5. But I can't trade in a mock draft, so I ended up going, he ended up falling. And this is where he ended up landing. So they kind of not restart, because they got a lot of pieces in place for that team. They don't need to go into a massive rebuild. So, and they got a competent guy there in Kyle Allen. So if you do want to sit Herbert, then you can. I mean, they're probably going to throw him to the fire, but yeah, I think they go in a different direction. New coach, new regime, new quarterback. And then the Browns, they have to go tackle Jedrick Wills. If Grant Delpit was on the board here, it'd be tempting because they need some safety help, but they get a tackle who will not be bossed around. He's a phenomenal run blocker and just super strong dude. So yeah, Browns go there. I don't think anyone could really dispute that. And then Laviska Shenault Jr. going here to the Raiders. I think this is a good fit for Derek Carr. I know he hasn't looked that great past couple of weeks, but they do need more receiving help. And he's kind of this guy, Laviska Shenault, complements Derek Carr very well because he can break tackles like nobody's business. He plays really good off the screen. He's played a lot more outside this year, which is good to see. So I think you got Tyrell Williams, who's a big body, deep threat. You got Hunter Renfrow there in the slot. Laviska Shenault on the outside. You got a very good core to start there with. And then at 17, I was tempted to go Tua here, but the Colts end up going Javon Kinlaw to help with that run defense, that interior pass rush as well. Kinlaw's a monster, and quite frankly, he could go much higher. And then the Raiders back on the clock, and you might be like, what the heck? Tyler Biadasz out of Wisconsin. I've got them going with an interior player for their offensive line. Because Incognito, he's 36. He's probably not back after this season. Gabe Jackson's play has declined this season. Yeah, he's kind of been up, down, but this year it's been more down than up. And then Rodney Hudson is 30. He's getting older, so it's not a bad idea to come in and bring in a guy like Biadasz. So I think that's phenomenal there. They dress the offense. The defense, yes, it needs work, but they can do that through free agency. You don't want to just keep throwing picks at defense. Bring in some veterans there to help out. And plus, they got other picks, so we could go there too. And then Yatir Gross-Matos going to the tight ends. Another tempting area for Tua to go. But Ryan Tannehill, man, I think they might sign him to maybe a year or two. So they might hold off on that. They get a pass rusher. Just another athletic freak. He added some weight and muscle to that frame this year. So he's been looking good. He's developed much more as a pass rusher this season, and I really, really like that. Then Trayvon Diggs, they get their Jalen Ramsey replacement, I suppose. So they do that. So you get CeeDee Lamb, you get Trayvon Diggs, who is an athletic freak in his own right. He's got good technique, and he was, while he looked, that LSU game looks bad on paper, he actually played pretty well. Yeah, he got beat here and there, but man, Joe Burrow is one of the most accurate quarterbacks downfield, and Diggs did have an interception on Burrow. We all might not remember it because it ended up being a penalty on the play, so it got called off, but hey. But like I said, Jacksonville, they could go a variety of different places. They need a lot of different things. And then the Cowboys, they go Ashton Davis, safety out of Cal. I was thinking Trayvon Diggs here, but he got picked. They could go edge. It's really tough to anticipate what the Cowboys do until we figure out who all they're going to end up re-signing. I imagine Dak. I imagine Amari. So Brian Jones might be the odd man out. But we know that they were trying to pursue a safety. They ended up not signing Earl Thomas. He was too expensive. They couldn't get Jamal Adams. So they get a guy here at 21, and the Dolphins still no quarterback. They go offensive tackle because they need to. Josh Jones, a guy who I think is going to light up the Senior Bowl, might end up being a top 15 pick. I love Josh Jones. And then you got, if you're the Minnesota Vikings, you almost got to go corner. Kirk Cousins looked great. He might be their quarterback for the next few years. He ends up re-signing after next season. But yeah, they need to do something about corner. Xavier Rhodes hasn't been all that great. We all know that. Trey Waynes is gone after this year, probably. Mike Hughes, he's been rough. I think he's better. And the thing is that this past week they used him more on the outside, and it was still pretty rough. So I think they go here. Henderson, he's super competitive, great man, corner. Mike Zimmer would love that. Chiefs, they don't go corner here because their corners, I know they got to address, they got to re-sign some of these guys in their secondary, but they've looked pretty good recently. It's all starting to come together, I think, for them, but they need pass rush. I know they need a linebacker, but there's no linebacker, I think, worth it here. So Curtis Weaver, outside of Chase Young, the most disruptive edge rusher in college football, should go higher, might end up going higher. And then the Dolphins, bam, they finally pull the trigger. They take Tua here at 25. Because, okay, this is your third first-round pick. So the investment doesn't feel so great, you know? So I feel like this feels a lot better. Picking Tua at 25 rather than in the top 10 where it's like, oh, he better be a franchise guy. Rather here near the end of the first round where you've already used two different picks, where it feels like, okay, we can take this shot on Tua because he has the potential to be a franchise quarterback. So a little less investment. I like it here. You might be surprised with Buffalo getting DeAndre Swift, but you shouldn't be. I think Frank Gore, he'll be done after this season. They need a complement to Devin Singletary, because Singletary is not a great receiving back. I think Josh Allen really needs a good receiving back. Dude, DeAndre Swift is a great receiving back. So I think that's just a good counterpart. Good counterpart to Devin Singletary. Here in Swift, running backs, they always go in the first round. So I was trying to think of what would be the most logical place for a running back to fall here in the first round. And I mean, the Bills, they could go a variety of different places. They could go a receiver, but it's deep receiving class. And then you got Cole Beasley and John Brown for the next couple of seasons. So you could really wait there. They could go defense, try to get more depth at corner. They could go offensive line for the interior because Quinn Spain's a free agent after the season, but went with Swift. T. Higgins, I feel like this is just my place where I like T. Higgins for the Packers. He's just an Aaron Rodgers type receiver. I like that big, strong, over-the-shoulder catch. Oh, it's just a match made in heaven. Henry Ruggs. Woo, man. You know, Teddy Ginn, as much as I love me some Teddy Ginn, I don't think he has more than 2 or 3 catches in a game this season. They need another receiver. And Henry Ruggs, he's got that speed. He's a nasty route runner. I like him here for the Saints. They get a weapon that can be a true number 2 for Michael Thomas. We go into pick 29, Clavon Chaisson of the LSU Bayou Tigers. So, Mike Renner, another Mike Renner take here. I thought this was kind of cool because I didn't really think about this, because the Patriots, they draft all kinds of interesting, and they talk about and I was thinking maybe a Raekwon Davis at this pick because he's got first round potential, but boy, he looks like a third rounder. But he was talking about how Patriots, they love those athletic guys, also have the ability to cover. So I was like, okay, maybe a Zach Bond out of Wisconsin. But Clavon Chaisson has displayed that. And I think this would be an excellent pick. Clavon Chaisson is, man, he's sneaky strong for his build. And he's starting to give off that first round vibe. You know, he's going to blow the combine out the water. So, yeah, we got that there. 49ers go Jalen Reagor. Dude, Goodwin, he hasn't done much this season. I mean, outside of Deebo Samuel, and then you have Manuel Sanders, but he's also getting older in age. Will he be around after this season? And then Dante Pettis is kind of just falling off the face of the earth for the 49ers. So they get a guy who is a great straight line speed, great separation, can come in there and be their true deep threat. I like this pick a lot. And then we know Baltimore Ravens, they need pass rush. They get a pass rusher here in Julian Okwara. He's going to test extremely well if he recovers comes back healthy. I don't know if it was an ACL tear that knocked him out for the broken fibia. Okay, so I don't know if he'll be able to. I don't know if he'll be able to participate in a combine, but we know he is a great athlete. They need a guy to get to the passer, so they get one here. And then Seahawks, they go on Terrell Lewis, edge out of Alabama. I would love Bryce Hall, but a guy brought this up to my attention in my comments. We kind of discussed it about typically the Seahawks, they typically draft offensive or defensive line early. See, but my gripe was, okay, well, they typically trade out of the first round. They do a lot of that. And there's no guy that I think is that the Seahawks would want to take at this pick that is a defensive lineman, which I don't think they need interior help. They do need probably another edge rusher, but or on the offensive line, I don't think anyone really fits their mold. That's why I kept mocking Bryce Hall to him. But you know what? Terrell Lewis, big, strong legs. The guy has been a monster this season. I think he's a good fit for Seattle. And then on to the second round, and we got the Bengals. They get Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma. They really could use some help on that interior, on that offensive line in general. But they'll have Jonah Williams back next season. Michael Jordan's looked terrible. They could upgrade over John Miller. Billy Price hasn't been able to see the field because he's not that good. So they get a Humphrey, a guy who honestly he has the versatility to play really anywhere on the offensive line. You need to protect your new franchise quarterback, so they do that with this pick. The Giants, same thing, because I think I saw it was Daniel Jones has like 15 fumbles this season. Those tackles are getting beat on the outside. Austin Jackson, he's a little raw, but he's got the size. He's got the physical tools. He's super athletic. Honestly, even when he does goof, he's athletic enough to make up for those mishaps. So I like Jackson here, a guy that can maybe sneak into the first round if he comes out. And then the Dolphins, they get their running back because we know Kalen Ballage ain't it. Travis Etienne out of Clemson, probably the biggest home run threat in this draft. He has the most broken tackles per carry by PFF. So I love Etienne at this pick. So now that offense, you just invested Tua, Jones, and Etienne. That's a pretty fine haul you got there right now, Dolphins. And then the Falcons, they get their corner. This is a Dan Quinn type corner. Hopefully he's still around. That's what I based this pick off. But Bryce Hall, big. This year they didn't even look his way. I like Bryce Hall. I think he is a first round player. I don't know if the injury will keep him out of the combine, but I like him here. And then Colts, they get their quarterback of the future, Jake Fromm. I know you might be like, what? Why? Yeah, Jake Fromm, I think, is ideal for this Colt offense. They love quick passes. That's what they really designed their offense around for Andrew Luck, because he was getting hit so much. Their offensive line wasn't that good at the time. So they developed into a more, about a 3 to 5 step drop back, and you just chuck it. So Jake Fromm, that is ideal for him. So I think if anyone is going to maximize Jake Fromm's potential, it's going to be that Colt front office, especially, was it right? And then we got the Cardinals getting in there, linebacker Dylan Moses. They need someone that can cover the tight end, for goodness sake. So they get it here. So Dylan Moses, don't know if he'll come out. He might stay for another year. But coming off the injury, bit unknown what we got in him. But we know the man is a sideline to sideline athlete. So we don't know if he's going to be a playmaker, because we're going to get a chance to see him this year. But hopefully we will be able. I'm hoping the guy doesn't. I'm hoping he stays for another year, because I honestly think he can be a first round pick and should be. And then I got the Lions getting Samuel Cosmi. Listen, they need some help on the offensive line. Not much, but they need a little bit, because Rick Wagner, he's been pretty bad this year. And then I like Cosmi. He is ideal for their offensive line, how their run-in scheme. Honestly, he's athletic enough for that scheme. He's ideal for a zone type blocking scheme. So Cosmi, you get a quality tackle here in the second round. And honestly, I like how that draft is looking right now for the Lions. And then Jets, they get a corner. They get a guy that can play on the outside, for goodness sake. This is a Greg Williams type guy, cover 3. Jalen Johnson, he's probably going to be flying up a lot of boards. Guy could find himself in the first round. And then Chargers, they go quarterback. They get Jacob Eason. They get their quarterback of the future, because Phillip Rivers ain't it. So I think it's key that they come out of the draft with some type of quarterback in the first 3 rounds. So I got him getting Eason here. Don't know if Eason will come out, but we'll see. And then Broncos, they go receiver. They get Devontae Smith out of Alabama. I think this is a perfect guy to pair up with Cortland Sutton. Devontae Smith has disgusting speed. He's a burner. A lot of his yards are after the catch, so he's either a screen guy or bam, vertical threat type of guy. I think that's a great combination to have with Cortland Sutton, and I think it helps Drew Lock out, who's looked really good in his debut. But I think that helps him out a ton to have a guy that can be involved in the short passing game as far as screens and whatnot. And then Jaguars, they go Marvin Wilson. Marvin Wilson falls a little bit because last month of before his season was cut short by the hand, he kind of slowed down a lot. So he falls the second round. I still think he is a late first, maybe early second type of pick. But the Jaguars, they need help. They can't stop the run. They're getting ran over. They're getting a lot of things on defense. But they get a guy here who can be the eventual heir apparent to Calais Campbell because the dude's getting up in age. So they just get another young guy to fit on that defensive line. And then the Buccaneers go tackle Trey Adams, who's come up my board a little bit. Because, I mean, from a standpoint, he does have all the tools. He has all the things you like. The opposite of that is you got the checkered injury history. You got him kind of not playing well against better prospects, NFL caliber prospects. But they really do need an upgrade over Donovan Smith. I mean, they signed an extension. He's probably there to stay. But Dotson, he's getting older in age, so they could use some help, especially if they decide they're going to... Because I don't think they're going to come out of this draft with a quarterback. I mean, they really could, but I don't think they will. They might re-sign Winston. I mean, he's looked decent, but he's still the same volatile Winston we all know. But they could also sign a guy out of free agency, so I got him just staying away from quarterback for now. And then the Panthers, they address the run game as well, or the defensive run game, because they've been getting ran all over. They get Jordan Elliott, a guy who's flying up my board. I think he could sneak himself into the first round. He's been very athletic. He's been a constant presence, even in the in the past game. So I like him here. And then Xavier McKinney going to Cleveland. I try to do a mixture of what I anticipate might happen, along with still trying to stay true to my board. I got McKinney as a 4th round prospect because he's not been great in coverage this year, but you can't deny the talent he has. So Cleveland, they need a safety. They really do. Because I don't think Randall will be there after next year. Morgan Burnett's kind of old, so they go ahead, they get McKinney here. And then, man, Eagles, they go Netane Moody. He should be a 1st round pick, but he's got a little bit of an injury history himself right now. But yeah, I like him. He's super athletic. He can play on the outside if you really want him to. Brandon Brooks, he's getting older, so you get a guy who provides a little bit of versatility, and you can actually kind of develop in the next year or two. So we go with that. And then Tyler Johnson, of course. The Colts, they need a receiver. You just got a potential franchise quarterback. I mean, it's 2nd round pick, so you're not investing too much. But they go with the guy because T.Y. Hilton, he can't stay healthy. And then also behind him, you have question mark, the enigma that might be Paris Campbell. What are you doing with him? Zach Pascal, he has a knack for disappearing and reappearing at times. So Tyler Johnson, you're falling a little bit, but guys are going to fall. That's how the draft works. Bears got back-to-back picks here. I don't have them going quarterback. I think Mitch Trubisky might end the year hot. So sorry Bears fans, you might be stuck with another year of Mitch. So put some talent around him. Try to help him out. And Calvin Throckmorton, he's probably one of the better interior players. I like his ability. He could also play the outside. That's where he's been playing. He's been playing tackle for Oregon, but I think he translates better as a guard. So they get some help there potentially on the outside and in the little interior, the offensive line. And then they go tight end, because tight end's been a non-factor this season. Trey Burton, granted he's hurt now, but they just haven't done nothing with their tight ends. So they get a guy who has huge receiving upside from that perspective. Hunter Bryant, from Washington. He's Eason's favorite target, or I should say most consistent, because I know Eason likes Aaron Fuller, but Fuller likes to drop the ball a lot. But I like Hunter Bryant here, so I think with back-to-back picks, you got to get some guys that can make almost an immediate impact for the Bears, and then you might, like I said, you're probably stuck with another year of Mitch. And then same goes with the Rams. You need to find a guy that can make an immediate impact, because there is a Super Bowl window here, because y'all are tight on cap space. There's really no one. If Moody was here, Nate Moody, I'd get some offensive line help. He's not, so it's kind of a reach for anyone else. So Zach Bond is a guy who they've used, I think they could use in the similar fashion that they used Clay Matthews. He can play off the ball in coverage. He's a little undersized to be an edge rusher, but you could scheme around that. But yeah, I like this pick here. He should be able to make an immediate impact for the Rams. AJ Terrell, I think with Malcolm Butler, it might be his reign there, might be coming to an end. He's ending the year on IR. He was ranked as the 89th corner this year. Not great. Logan Ryan, he might not be there much sooner. I mean, I think they're likely to re-sign him, though. But AJ Terrell, he gives you, because that Tennessee pass defense has been a bit vulnerable recently. So AJ Terrell, a guy that provides a lot of versatility. He could play press. He can play zone. He could even play safety. So I really like him here. He should go a lot higher, but it's the draft. Guys fall. Dallas, they go ahead. They get Alton Robinson out of Syracuse. The guy is physically a monster. He's been really good there for Syracuse. A little bit of character red flags, but those are like 2 or 3 years ago. So I don't think that they don't mean much to me. You got Robert Quinn, who's he's near the end of his career. So you get a guy that's very similar to DeMarcus Lawrence. So Robinson, you just keep adding to that defense. And then Steelers, this is their first pick. They go Neville Gallimore out of Oklahoma. The guy is a freak for his size. They got a few guys they have to re-sign this offseason. Javon Hargrave, I think, might be the odd man out. So they get a guy that comes in and can play right away on that defensive line. Chiefs, they get a corner. They go corner. Cameron Dantzler. I love his size. I love his height. And I think he does need to add a little muscle, a little bit of weight to his frame. But he's been shut down in the SEC. And then Vikings, they get a true third fiddle to Diggs and Thielen. They get Justin Jefferson, who I think is a slot-only type of guy. He's going to go much higher. A lot of people are high on him. I don't think he can play the outside. He's never really had to face press man or people. Yeah, he's never had to be like, he was never really pressed at the line. And but I think he will go in that second round area. And I think this is perfect. You give Cousins just some more weapons. Next, the Texans, they go edge. They get Bradley Anae out of Utah. The guy, he's a technician as a pass rusher. They really do need some help on the edge, and especially with J.J. Watt now, probably he's nearing the end. He's nearing the end, so they do need to get a little tougher on defense. The offense looks great. Looks like it's set. They need to address defense with their picks here, and then. Hey, man, Packers, they get a linebacker. They need one. I think he's kind of in the same mold as Blake Martinez. Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma. I don't think he's a great athlete, but not much of a playmaker. But when you're down here in the second round, a guy that's starting to climb a lot of people's boards. Not mine. I have him as a third rounder. But I can see this is a good landing spot for him. And then the Bills, I talked about it, that Quinn Spain will be a free agent. They get Walker Little, who I don't think is coming out this draft, but we didn't get to see much of him this year. I think he translates better as a guard right now to the NFL, but you get a guy with tackle, the ability to play tackle. So the Bills, they just keep fine-tuning that offense. And then the Dolphins, they go Khalid Kareem out of Notre Dame, the edge. They go and they address defense with this pick. They have so many picks. I mean, they really could go anywhere, but they get defense here because They have no one to rush the edge rusher or rush the passer. There we go. But Kareem, he's kind of Trey Flowers-esque, and I think Brian Flores will like that. I think he'll like it a lot. And then we got Seahawks having 2 picks here. We got Zach Moss. I got them going running back because I feel like this is kind of a luxury pick. They can go running back. Chris Carson, well, I don't know what the future holds for him. I know they have Rashad Penny, but just a year ago, they were using 3 running backs. Mike Davis was in that mix. So if Chris Carson kind of falls out of favor, you get a guy with Zach Moss who is he is a Seahawk type running back if I've ever seen one. Broken tackle machine, very physical runner, does offer a little bit in the pass game. So I like him as maybe a future pairing with Rashad Penny. And then we got the Falcons. These birds messing me up, man. KJ Hamler, wide receiver. I like Hamler as a slot player. He does have a few drops that are alarming, but he is a playmaker. I know Russell Gage looks pretty good, but I think you get a guy who is superior from a talent standpoint, and as well as Julio Jones. Eventually, he will move on. So that's a future nice trio with Gage, Hamler, and Ridley. Just saying. And then the Baltimore Ravens, they go after a big physical wide receiver who surprisingly separates pretty well. Michael Pittman Jr. I know that they just drafted this past year Boykins, who's kind of their big vertical threat, but I think Michael Pittman offers a much better route running. He's got. I just like this pick to pair up with Hollywood Brown for the future. That way you can let Willie Snead just go. And then this is the second pick for the Seahawks, Jack Driscoll. I think he is exactly what the Seahawks look for in an offensive lineman. The man's big, physical. He's a lunch pail type of guy. I like Driscoll. He's going. I don't think he's actually got invited to the Senior Bowl yet. I hope he gets an invite. He deserves it because he could really help his draft stock. I think he'd go higher than this. On to the third round. We're starting with the Bengals once again. They get a playmaker for their new quarterback of the future, Jared Pickney, tight end out of Vandy. Super athletic, especially for his size. We know Tyler Eifert and his checkered injury past. Uzomah's nothing special. So they get a guy at tight end that can be a real playmaker. I know his production's been pretty bad this year, but I'm hoping most of that's just quarterback. We know the year before the dude was a monster. Then the Jets, they go Jonathan Taylor, running back out of Wisconsin. And you might be like, what? Why is Jonathan? I know a lot of people, you know what? I know a lot of people think Jonathan Taylor's a first round talent, at least a second round talent. But hear me out here. I have him as a third round grade. And in the 2019 draft, we had a running back going one go in the first, 2 go in the second, and then 4 going to the third round. Well, he's 4th on my rankings. Guys ahead of him, Zach Moss, Travis Etienne, and DeAndre Swift. So he ends up falling here. But more importantly, Le'Veon Bell, looks like not everything's so nice and neat in paradise. So he might be traded. He might be on his way out. And even if he isn't, they need a guy to really take some of the workload off of Le'Veon Bell. Jonathan Taylor, a strong, powerful north-south runner. I like this pick to help take away some of those carries away from Le'Veon. And I mean, the way they use Le'Veon, he's used so much in the pass game as well. You really want to limit some of his touches so he stays fresh. And then, man, back-to-back, we go on running backs. I like this pick for Atlanta. They go on J.K. Dobbins. I prefer if it was DeAndre Swift, but he was gone by the time their pick was up in the second round. So they get Dobbins. We know Devontae Freeman struggled. A lot of that's kind of on the offensive line, but they could really use a running back. And J.K. Dobbins, man, he fits their offense. He's perfect for a zone running scheme. He's a very patient lateral runner, very decisive once he sees the hole. He does offer some receiving capabilities. So good player here, flying up a lot of people's charts. Jeff Gladney going to Washington with their second pick. They got their cornerstone tackle. They get someone in the secondary, because that secondary does need some help. Jeff Gladney, he is a freak there for TCU. And then the Dolphins, they go receiver finally. They go with Tylan Wallace out of Oklahoma State. The leg injury really gonna hamper. I think it's really gonna hurt Wallace's status, because we're not gonna really get a chance to see him during the off-season process. But what we know about Wallace is he's a big play threat. When the ball's in his hands, he does some special things with it. While I don't think he's much of a vertical threat, it takes him a little longer to like build up speed. He's not like a speedster, but he's not like he's slow by any means. But I think it'd be a perfect complement to Devontae Parker and Preston Williams. And then, man, Lions, they do the same thing. They get Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State. The guy is very Golden Tate-esque, and I love it. We saw Matthew Stafford last season kind of struggle after that Golden Tate trade. And I think Ayuk would be a perfect complement to Galladay and Marvin Jones. You get a guy who is dangerous on the screen with the ball in his hands. Cardinals, they get an edge rusher. They address defense. They need an edge rusher. They're getting old there. They get Carlos Basham Jr., a guy who is just destructively strong. I have a second round grade on him. He kind of falls because I think the only thing he can do is bull rush, but he does it very well. So, and it's a guy you can also kick to the inside if you need him to. And then the Chargers, they get some help in the secondary, get a little more depth, because they could really use another guy on the outside, on the other side of Hayward. Diamador Lenoir out of Oregon is one of the better zone corners in this draft, and I think about this stage is a good place for him. And then Denver, they go corner because they need it, because, man, Chris Harris might be gone. They really need to. I think they really need to do some additions to the secondary. Paulson Adebo, one of the most physical corners in this draft. He's kind of had an up-down year. Like his highs have been super high, and he's really only had one or two lowlights. But good pick here for the Broncos. And the Panthers, they go Lucas Nain, offensive tackle out of TCU. The guy's a phenomenal pass blocker, but he's been hurt this year, and I think third round, because he's a bit of a developmental prospect. But let's be honest about Cam Robinson. He's okay. There's been that offensive line, for as much as they've invested in it, doesn't look that great. Norwell, he's been kind of a bust in terms of how much they've paid him. Jawan Taylor, he's still kind of developing. So you get another guy you could potentially develop to replace Cam Robinson. I like it here. Jets, they get Jabari Zuniga. I have Zuniga with a 5th round grade, because for all the potential in the world, all the physical potential, it don't match up to the to the production. He's not been that effective as a pass rusher, but he reminds me a lot of Ja'Kai Polite, who a year before the Jets spent a 3rd round pick on. So I see them doing that here with Zuniga. I think he's going to go a lot higher than what many analysts will have on their boards. And then we're going to go with the Panthers. Let's talk about this real quick. Matt Hennessy out of Temple. The guy's been probably one of the most dominant centers in all of college football. The guy's good at, he's a little undersized, but he's super strong. He's good at pass blocking, good at run blocking. He's just good at everything. And honestly, that offensive line for the Panthers, especially, I think more so on the inside, they can use a little upgrades. Matt Paredes, he's in a super down year this season, so I think they could definitely upgrade. Not necessarily him, because you could but you could start moving parts around on that offensive line. And then, man, talking about untapped, or not even untapped, but a bunch of potential that ain't producing. We got Raekwon Davis going to Cleveland here. Cleveland, they need more depth on the inside. and production, to be frankly. And I know he's Raekwon Davis probably gonna go higher than this because a lot of teams think they could probably coach him. The guy he's freaky strong, freaky quick, great long arms. I mean, he's just kind of plateaued in terms of production. And then the Eagles going Denzel Mims. This is just a pick that I love. I out of Bailey. The guy's a speedster. He reminds me of Deshaun Jackson a whole bunch. And they need some more offensive playmakers, especially a receiver, because Deshaun Jackson's got one more year on the contract, and he was hurt all this year, so they get some help at receiver. And then the Bucks, they go edge. They go Marlon Davidson. I love Marlon Davidson. He's one of my favorite prospects in the draft. Big, physical edge player, a guy that provides a little bit of versatility if you want to kick him onto the line in a like a 3-4 end. I think it'd be a good fit for the Bucks, who while Shaq Barnett's looked pretty good. You could also get a guy on the other side because JPP, who knows how long he's got left. So they go with that here. And then the Raiders, they get their 3-down linebacker, Jordan Brooks. Very underrated prospect. I think he's been very good in coverage as well as in the run game. So they get their linebacker here. And then they also go quarterback with their next pick, Jalen Hurts out of Oklahoma. I think this one's surprised. I'm pretty positive a lot of people are probably gonna end up mocking Hurts here, but I think this is a good place for him to go in the 3rd round, maybe where you can have him as a developmental prospect. I'm not too keen on his ball placement. I don't know why people put him in the 1st round. I don't think he's even in the 1st round discussion, but I think 3rd round's very fine for him. He's got a great arm, but there are some things he needs to work on. And then the Colts, they get an edge. They get Darrell Taylor, big physical end. I like that pick there. And then the Titans, they go quarterback. They go Jamie Newman out of Wake Forest. I love Jamie Newman. I like him better than Jalen Hurts. I just think teams are going to be a little higher on Jalen Hurts. But Jamie Newman, I really actually hope he comes back to school because he's one of the most accurate deep ball throwers that's not Tua or Burrow. He's got a lot of potential. He's a mobile quarterback, but he doesn't have to win on his feet. And he's playing with the Wake Forest team with limited playmakers. And then the Rams, they finally address offensive line. They get Michael Onwenu out of Michigan. This guy, I think, is going to fly up boards. He is super athletic for a plus 300 type of build. It's just disgusting. I like this man. I think he's, like I said, he's going to fly up boards. And then Dallas, I got him getting Bryson Hopkins out of Purdue. Undersized tight end, but great receiver. A great receiving type threat. Minimal drop issue, not a big one. But yeah, Jason Witten, we know he's going to be on his way soon. Blake Jarwin's proved to be pretty good himself, but they could probably get a more dynamic pass catcher at tight end. Broncos, they go Jared Hilbers out of Washington. I'm really high on this guy. I like him a ton. And we know that Broncos, they need to address a little bit on the offensive line, because that offensive line, a couple of the spots they've kind of invested in, like Boros and they're inside at guard, they need upgraded. And then we got the Vikings, Justin Metabuke out of Texas A&M, another very phenomenal run defender. He's pretty dynamic when it comes to pressing the pocket. So the Vikings, they just get some guys to kind of help on the inside there. They could use a little more depth. And then the Chiefs, they go Logan Sternberg out of Kentucky. They need more depth on offensive line, because they went through that middle period where they had guys hurt, and Patrick Mahomes, he paid for it. He did. That's why he was out for like 3 weeks. So they get a guy who has become a much better pass blocker this season. They're very impressed. He's a bit much on penalties, but if you can reel that back, then you got a solid guy. And then Browns back on the clock. They get a big receiver, a big boy to match up with Landry and OBJ. They get Antonio Gandy Golden out of Liberty. I like him. He can go a lot higher, but guys fall in the draft. I've said this all video long. Sean Wade going to the Bills, they can really dress wherever. I think getting a little more depth at corner would be nice. Wade, we haven't seen too many of his snaps on the outside, but we know he is a really good slot guy. Physically he can play on the outside, but we just haven't seen it. So Bills, they go corner there. And then the Packers, they go Albert O out of Mizzou. This is a guy I have as a 4th rounder, but he's going to probably go much higher than that. The Packers, they could use a little more. They could use an upgrade tight end. Jimmy Graham hasn't been so great. He's been on the decline for a while now. I know they got Jay Sternberger out of Texas A&M, but I think Okwebanam is a bit more dynamic as a route runner, while Jay Sternberger is more of a vertical type of tight end. And then the Saints, they get a developmental prospect at quarterback, Jordan Love out of Utah. I don't think Love's coming out this year. I think he's gonna he graduates this year, but he has one more year of eligibility. I think he's gonna transfer. I really do, and I like to see him play elsewhere with a lot more talent around him. So I don't think he's coming out in this draft, but if he does, we know the potential. We know all the physical tools he has. We just want to see. It's right now more style over substance. So not a bad pick for the Saints. And then New England back on the clock. They get a tight end. They get Adam Trotman out of Daytona. The guy's been phenomenal. Again, smaller school, but he's been phenomenal. He's going to the Senior Bowl. I think he could really elevate his stock there. And then the Broncos, they get Antoine Winfield Jr. They get a safety because Justin Simmons, he's a free agent after this year. Kareem Jackson is getting a little long in the tooth. So they get a guy who, he is phenomenal, like physically phenomenal. Like there was this one play this year where he kind of bit on, was it a real wheel route? I can't remember, but he bit, but he was able to recover and then make the pick. The guy's, like I said, stupid athletic. And then the Ravens, they go Trey Smith out of Tennessee. I like Smith's fit as a guard, but he has the ability to play tackle, so he provides a little versatility for the Ravens on that offensive line. And you know, the offensive line is huge for the Ravens because they like to run the ball, so they need some big physical hog mollies there. And then Raiders ending the draft with Leaky Fotu out of Utah. They get a guy next to Maurice Hurst. This guy, you ain't pushing him back. This guy is strong. He can pressure the pocket. He's not a great pass rusher, but that's what Hurst is. This is a sure run defender. That's it for the video. Go ahead to the YouTube thing. Much appreciated, much obliged. And let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's discuss. Be cool. Be cool. Don't be rude. No one likes a rude Robert or a rude Rebecca. Anyway, till next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.